All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking a look at a portfolio that pretty much throws out the rule book. This isn't just about showing off some nice projects. No, this is about telling a really compelling story. A story about skill, about identity, and honestly about the future of creative work. We're going to see how it totally redefines what personal branding can be. So just think about this for a second. What if your resume, your portfolio, what if it wasn't just a boring old document, but an actual experience? That's the question at the heart of what we're looking at today. And it's an idea that honestly could change everything about how you present yourself. So, this amazing piece of work comes from a designer named Shashish, who created what they call an immersive editorial. And that's the perfect term for it. It's not a gallery you just click through. It's a story, a narrative that's designed to pull you in from the very first moment. Let's see how they did it. And this quote, this says it all. This is the core philosophy. It's not about just making a list of your skills. It's about putting them on display, right there in front of you. The entire portfolio is built on this design-first principle, where the visuals themselves are doing the talking. They scream clarity, intention, and a whole lot of confidence. You know, every great project has an origin story, and this one is just fascinating. On the website, Shoshish actually lists failed NEET, which, if you don't know, is an incredibly tough entrance exam in India, as an achievement. And no, that's not them being hard on themselves. It's a brilliant piece of storytelling. It reframes what many would see as a failure into the very thing that sparked this deliberate pivot into design. And get this, that was just a few months ago in February 2024. That's just powerful. Okay, so that's the story behind it. But what does it actually feel like to use it? How does that story translate into what you see on the screen? Let's break down that design-first experience that makes this thing feel so unique. So this is the key concept you have to get, the immersive editorial. I want you to think less like a boring slideshow of pictures and more like a super high-end digital magazine. You know, the kind you actually want to explore, not just skim. Every scroll, every little animation, it's all part of the story. And they create this incredible feeling with a really specific set of choices. We're talking about this beautiful premium dark mode, these insane liquid glass textures that seem to bend light, and a ton of 3D motion that gives it real depth. Then you tie it all together with bold, super clean typography, and wow, you got something that feels incredibly modern and just plain expensive. And that's the whole point right there. This isn't just about looking flashy for the sake of it. Every single one of those elements, the glass, the 3D, the motion, it's a deliberate choice to get away from boring flat design. It creates this real sense of depth and practically begs you to interact with it, which makes the whole experience stick in your mind. Okay, so it looks absolutely stunning, but how on earth is it built? This is where it gets really, really cool, especially if you're someone who lives in that space between design and development. We're going to pop the hood, take a look at the code on GitHub, and see how the tech was crafted to make all this beautiful design possible. You might think something this visually complex would have a crazy back end, but the foundation is actually super simple and smart. It's a static site hosted on GitHub Pages. And that's a brilliant move, because for a website this rich with visuals, you need it to be fast. You need it to be rock solid. And that's exactly what a static site gives you. No clunky databases, just pure, optimized performance. Now, check out this language breakdown. Yeah, you've got your HTML and TypeScript, no surprise there. But what is that huge chunk for GSLL? Almost 20%. That, my friends, is the graphics library shading language. That's the magic right there. It's the code that's powering all of those amazing 3D visuals and those liquid glass effects we were just talking about. This is definitely not your standard web dev stack. And this table, it just perfectly shows the two sides of the brain working together here. On the one hand, you have the top-tier design tools, Figma, Photoshop, Premiere Pro. On the other, you've got a serious developer's toolkit, VS Code, GitHub, and libraries like 3JS. This isn't a designer who dabbles in code or a developer who can kind of design. This is true, seamless integration. And here is a really critical decision they made. Instead of relying on a standard framework like Bootstrap or Tailwind, they wrote custom CSS and JavaScript. Why? Because that unique liquid look and feel just wasn't possible with off-the-shelf tools. The technology was specifically chosen to serve the design vision, not the other way around. And that is such an important distinction. So, what does this all mean for you? We've picked apart the what and the how, but the real gold is in the why. Let's try to boil all this down into a practical blueprint for what it means to be a modern creative professional today. This portfolio is the perfect advertisement for what we can call hybrid talent. This is a person who doesn't just live in Figma or only in their code editor. They build a bridge right between the two. And for an employer, that is incredibly valuable. It signals that you're not just a designer. You're a creative problem solver who can take an idea all the way from a concept to a finished, executed product. This chart just makes the difference crystal clear, doesn't it? A traditional portfolio lists your skills next to some static JPEGs. It's a gallery of what you've done in the past. But a hybrid portfolio, it tells a story of your capabilities through an immersive experience. The big shift here is moving from simply showing what you've done to actually proving what you're capable of doing next. So here it is, the blueprint. First, find your narrative. Make it authentic, just like the failed neat story. Second, design with intent. Make sure every single choice you make supports that narrative. Third, and this is crucial, let your code serve your design. Don't let a template limit your vision. And finally, showcase your full stack. Show the world that you can bridge that gap between a great idea and a flawless execution. And that really brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. As you think about your own brand, your own work, how you put yourself out there, ask yourself this simple question. Is what I've built just a gallery of things I've already done? Or is it a compelling story that shows everyone who I am and where I'm going next?